so-called scientists and other materialists are very satisfied because they can construct great bridges, roads, and machines. But such activities are nothing comparable to those of Mahārāja Priyavrata. If Mahārāja Priyavrata could condemn himself in spite of his wonderful activities, how condemned we are in our so-called advancement of material civilization. We can conclude that such advancement has nothing to do with the problems of the living entity entangled within this material world. Unfortunately, modern man does not understand his entanglement and how condemned he is, nor does he know what kind of body he is going to have in the next life. From a spiritual point of view, a great kingdom, beautiful wife, and wonderful material activities are all impediments to spiritual advancement. Mahārāja Priyavrata had served the great sage Nārada sincerely. Therefore, even though he had accepted material opulences, he could not be deviated from his own task. He again became Kṛṣṇa conscious, as confirmed in Bhagavad-gītā, Neha Bikram Nashashti Pratyavaya Navidyate Svapam Api Asya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. Quote, in devotional service, there is no loss or diminution, and even a small service rendered in devotional service is sufficient to save one from the greater danger. Unquote. Bhagavad-gītā 2.40. Such renunciation in Mahārāja Priyavrata is possible only by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Generally, when people are powerful, or when they have a beautiful wife, a beautiful home, and material popularity, they become more and more entangled. Priyavrata Maharaj, however, having been completely trained by the great sage of Nārada, revived his Kṛṣṇa consciousness in spite of all impediments. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nastaphaishu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So in this verse, Mahārāja Priyavrata is he's lamenting, he's being very negative, he's condemning himself, he's criticizing himself, he's saying that he can't do this anymore. In the previous verse, in the same conversation, that is a conversation with himself, he is being very positive. He starts off by being very positive. I want to serve the Lord better and better. So we be careful, we see these things in context, that he is not being entirely negative. Here in this verse he is, but in the previous verse, in the same conversation, we can say in the same breath, he's being very positive. This is the way Vaishnavas are. They're not entirely negative, they're positive. And so Mahārāja Priyavrata is saying, I want to serve the Lord better and better. So good to understand things in this perspective. But here, he has a mindset. He has a certain motivation now. It's not described here how he has become a dancing monkey. I'm reviewing these things with a little skepticism, because it seems to me that Mahārāja Priyavrata is overreacting. Here is a pure devotee. He is not contaminated by material nature. He is free from that. He is playing a role, and he knows he's playing a role. He is in pure consciousness. But he is condemning himself, and I'm seeing it as, and as it's explained here, as Srila Prabhupada explains it, that he is doing so to teach us that here he is, an exalted king, instructed by Lord Brahma, by his father, and by Nārada Muni, given the okay by Nārada Muni, to go ahead and do this thing. Go ahead and become king, be a householder, and do this thing. And so we know that he's playing a role. And so play acting, he knows that this is my role, and this is who I am. I'm pure spirit soul. I am doing this, I'm serving the Lord in this way. Just like we strive for that kind of consciousness. We may be doing things that seem mundane, but because we're serving the Lord, we keep a grip, so to speak. We know we got a handle. We have a handle on our devotional service and why we're doing that. We're not so carried away. But nonetheless, he is, I would say, overreacting. But of course, in the context, we know that he's not overreacting. He is reacting in a very strong manner because he wants to, as Prabhupada says, explain to us, show us that we're all in very great danger. So he is really not in great danger, but he is playing that role that he is in very great danger. And so he is saying, I've got to get out. I've got to leave this. I've got to go and again pick up my service to the Lord. So Prabhupada, in his program, he did not initially, he emphasized the beginning by chanting. We see that the microcosm means a small view. There's a macrocosm. Macro, it's his Latin words. Macro means big, large. Micro means small. So in the microcosm, the small view, we have, lately I've been writing an essay about our Sunday program because Mahārāja has asked for some ideas about our Sunday program. And I see in it, and we can see, I'm certain we can see in it, a microcosm, a small view of the big program. And that microcosm is that from the devotees, the temple is there, and the congregation comes, the devotees are there doing their service, living the life of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-gītā, living that life of devotional service. And so, and this is all according to the conversation that Ramananda Roy had with Lord Chaitanya on the banks of the Godavari River. It all fits nicely. And so the congregation is coming, associating with the devotees who are there, living that life. And then they come and then they talk. The devotees receive them nicely and discuss with them, and they have established relationship with them. And then the first thing is that there is kirtan, there is chanting. After the initial greeting and friendliness is there, then there is chanting. And the chanting, Prabhupada explains to us in several instances, ways, in several places, is cleanses the heart of the dust of material contamination from the heart. So the congregation is coming in and contaminated. They got all this, they've been doing all this nonsense, but now they're coming into a holy place. So the first thing Prabhupada has them do, after they meet everybody, is chant. Then after the chanting, some of the dust is cleared away, perhaps not all of it, but a lot of it is cleared away. The consciousness is a little bit clearer. Then they can sit down and have a lecture. And then they can understand some philosophy. So this is all arranged. This is didn't get thrown up in the air and come down and land like that. This is Prabhupada's program. And so then after that, then it's like to seal the envelope. The class is given some knowledge to the congregation, generally on Sunday. It was very, it didn't deviate much. It had to do with we are not the body, we are pure spirit soul. The Lord is the proprietor. We are not the owner. It was pretty centered. Every Sunday it had those subject matters. A little bit embellishment, but it was pretty strict in that it had that subject matter. So after that was explained, then to seal the envelope, so to speak, that was delivered to the congregation, some more chanting was there, and then prasadam. The prasadam was served. The devotees would serve. The guests would sit, and devotees would serve, and then the devotees would come and commingle again, to sit with the guests, not engage in heavy preaching or book distribution. Books were there. In fact, they had their bag of books and little notes was there, but more or less to get to know, to listen to what this person was, to make them feel nice while they were eating, talk about the prasadam, a little bit where it's come, what it's like, and how it was cooked. Small talk. Srila Prabhupada was the most excellent, super excellent preacher, but he's also a very good listener. He would listen. And we have a saying American saying that you have, when you're trying to sell something, when you want to sell somebody to buy something, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And when you want to sell somebody something, you use these in the same proportion that you have them. You listen to what they have to say. And then you speak a little bit, and then you listen. And that way they feel good about things. And then they're more willing to take what you have. So it's very scientific, very tight, very intelligent. So this is a microcosm, small view, Sunday program, small view of what we do. That's what we do, the whole thing. Everything can be reduced to those 5 steps. Then, of course, they have their prasadam. They take some with them if they want. And there's more, glad you came, thank you, please come again. And then off they go with a fond memory in their heart of these devotees, and having a nice prasadam, and that fond memory is there. So it's very intelligent. But the important thing is that we start with chanting. And so Prabhupada's program was started with chanting. In Tompkins Square Park, in the morning you get up and you chant after you bathe, of course. Although they didn't bathe then to start with, these were hippies coming in, and the bath was very strange. They had to be trained to take a bath. But anyway, start with chanting. Prabhupada started in the park with chanting, and then he gave his lecture. Clean the dust in the heart. Our business, we start with chanting. So my personal project is, because I am very concentrated on Prabhupada's second part of the mission, which I feel has been largely, if not ignored, been put in the back burner and not emphasized like he wanted it to be emphasized 50 years ago. He says, let's do it now, today, now. And he preached like that. Let's do this now. This has to be done immediately. So it was put on, it was not emphasized as I feel it should be. So one of the things that, even though the chanting is there, that must be there to cleanse the heart of dust from material contamination, so they can understand our philosophy. Those that can't, and Prabhupada recognized, there are those that will never chant. So I feel that appeal must be made to their sense of survival. Sense of survival. This is my take on what Srila Prabhupada said. And and I can discuss this with any one of you if you want, but he has written and he has discussed page after page of this concept, and that some people just won't chant. And you appeal to them. There's 2 ways to appeal to someone. There's the fear of loss or the promise of gain. Am I going to gain something by coming here? Or if I don't come, am I going to lose something? Of the 2, which do you think is the most powerful? Anybody have an idea? The promise of gain or the fear of loss? Which is the most powerful? Huh? Gain? That's more powerful? No. Fear of loss. Fear of loss is most powerful. I'm going to lose something. I'm going to lose my life. I'm going to lose my wife. I'm going to lose my children, or I'm going to lose my job. This fear, that's the big motivator. To gain something, that's good. Okay, I can gain this. But this fear of loss, This is what motivates it, it's a strong motivator. And at presently, the social situation, we can say political situation, but social situation, because the politics in one country differ, and we see the social situation in many countries is disintegrating, especially in the West. You don't see it so much here. But in the West, you see it disintegrating rapidly, day by day. Certainly, day by day. You see it disintegrating, the whole political situation, social situation, getting worse and worse by each day. And so there's fear there. The middle class, the working people who have good, nice homes and a family and nice car and a nice job, they get money and they eat good. The big middle class that is in the Western world, they feel a sense of loss. I'm going to lose all of this because of what's happening all around me. And so this fear of loss, and Prabhupada said that preaching, as this society decays, the preaching will get better. And my understanding is that one can appeal to this sense of loss and explain to them what Prabhupada wanted us to explain to them, what he insisted that we explain to them, and that we organize. He wanted his devotees, his disciples, to organize society. He said, do that. This is not rhetorical. He over and over again, he says, you organize society. And so, in my understanding is, one of the ways, even though the chanting is the most powerful way that cleans the heart, there is some little explanation that can go on, that you're losing your political situation, your social situation, you're losing it. So here is a better situation. Take a look at this Varnashram situation that was proposed, that was implemented by Prithu Maharaj so many tens of thousands of years ago, and again was activated by Yudhisthira Maharaj 5,000 years ago. This perfect political situation. Here, this is a social organization that one should care to look at, and this will save you from this loss that you're facing right now. Of course, the chanting is there, but some people just won't hear the chanting. Prabhupada wanted to address both, not just the one, those that want to chant, but both, because he is out to save all of the conditioned souls. So that is a personal project of mine that I've been taking up. But back to this, and this fits in with that, because what's being talked about here is the inability, the danger, the inability of the conditioned man to get himself out of the material world. He's unable to. Prabhupada goes on to explain that the way that Mahārāja Priyavrata could attain these wonderful things that he was doing, could make another sun, make these grooves in the universe for the oceans to flow, different oceans of different nectar and honey and milk products like that. So he could do that because he was gifted by the Lord. And the same is true of modern man. The only way that he can get out is if he's gifted by the Supreme Lord. And how is he gifted by the Supreme Lord? He is gifted by the Supreme Lord by the devotees, by Srila Prabhupada coming here. And Srila Prabhupada has that gift. In the same way, Priyavrata came and he had that gift directly through the disciplic succession from the Lord to Brahma, to his spiritual master, and he could gift it to the Lord. And so Prabhupada's disciples are empowered with that ability to gift this Kṛṣṇa consciousnness to the conditioned soul, and that's our job. So King Priyavrata, though, was I say overreacting. I use that term. You don't have to think overreacting. You can think he was reacting in a very a young man's way, a young, impetuous young man's way. He says, "Oh, this is too much for me. I've got to leave it. I've got to go." So he's playing the role. He's being impatient, but in so doing, by being impatient, he's illustrating for us the danger we face by being attached to the material world. He's threatening him, so what to speak of us? Now, another thing I want to talk about, the last thing I want to talk about, is this business of self-criticism. Self-criticism is it's a tool. It's a tool. And he's using it. Mahārāja Priyavrata is using it. He's saying, I'm here being controlled. This is not good. I'm condemned. So he's criticizing himself. I've got to get out. So we also use this self-criticism. Those of us who are healthy, and you have to be healthy to be here. You wouldn't be here if you weren't a very healthy state of mind. So we can look at the unhealthy and for some explanation, and that is the unhealthy who is, there are two ways, two extremes. One is who is criticizing himself so profoundly. Oh, I am so bad, I can't do this right, I can't do that right. By repeating this mantra, this, I can't do this, I can't do that, I am so bad here, in his mind and in his actions, he is regulating, condemning himself to do bad, to have bad relationships, to have bad thoughts, to be incorrect, to always make mistakes, because he is criticizing himself so much. It's an unhealthy state of mind, and the psychologists make a lot of money, the writers make a lot of money by talking about this state of mind. Too much criticism. He's criticizing himself. Be positive, have a positive outlook. Look at the positive side of life. They're not saying look at the real positive side, spiritual life, but they are finding the rivers or the streams and the fresh air sometimes, and the nice things in life that they should be positive about, that there is love there. You can belong in society. So look at the positive things of life. So that is one extreme, this extreme negativity. I am so very bad. And one thing begets another, because when it's thinking like that, one becomes worse and worse. Down, down, down they go. Then on the other extreme, you have a person who is not even thinking that they are doing wrong, who is thinking that I am doing everything right, and everything is good, and you do this, and you'll do well. We call that, we have a name for that, we call it megalomania. Megalomania means big idea, big conception of self. They're thinking they are the all in all, and they have that knowledge. So there is no self-criticism there. So, but somewhere in the middle, the devotees who are understanding the four defects of human life, of the conditioned soul, that he is prone to make mistakes, that he is illusion, that he is prone to cheat, prone to make mistakes, is illusion, imperfect senses. So he has these four. So the devotees know about these four, and so he is practicing. Well, I may be making a mistake now because I am prone to make a mistake. Maybe I can't see the other person's point of view, or maybe something is because my senses are imperfect, or maybe I'm not seeing things correctly, or maybe there's some illusion, or there it goes again. I am wanting to cheat and get my own advantage, and that propensity is coming out in my relationship with Kṛṣṇa and my godbrothers. And let me hold it back. So because the devotee is in knowledge about these four defects, he can do a very good job of self-criticism, self-analysis, and do constructive criticism. This is very important. We talk about criticism, we all do it, but the constructive criticism, that's what we want to hear, and we have to be very careful about this constructive criticism with ourselves and with others. We can be practice with ourselves, but with others we have to be especially careful. We don't want to be criticizing others unless we can somehow, we have the skill, we have the ability to make some suggestion, my dear Prabhu, and ask in a special way and pay special attention so we're not causing offense. So this self-criticism with the intelligent person is very valuable. We use it, we should use it all the time, get used to using it, we perfect it. Another thing that this, from the negative point of view, that we pay attention to, is that we can think, as certainly I do, many of us do, that, oh, this service, I cannot do it. I cannot come give this class and speak. I'm not good at it. I'm not a very good singer. I'm not very good at doing these different things. I'm not good at doing devotional service. Well, that is also a mistake. Because the Lord makes up He carries what we lack and makes up for what we don't have. And He promises that. Those in Bhagavad-gītā 9:22, the Lord says, "But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have." So we may criticize ourselves and find fault and find reasons why we can't do something. But on the other hand, if we begin to have more and more confidence in the Lord, and when we're asked to do something, simply to do it, because the Lord, we know that the Lord, this is devotional service, and even if we do it imperfectly, because we're being asked to do it, and we depend upon the Lord, there's some good chance that we'll be able to do it. And I saw this in the early days. We still see it. I still see it. I still see it with the young devotees now. We see it. But in the early days, it was a little unbelievable for me, because young men, 19, 20, 21, and the ladies also with their husbands going here and there, going to different countries and different worlds, opening up these big centers and chanting, just chanting. And at a young age, and I was old, I was 27, 28, and they were 19 and 20. And I was amazed they would go around and open up all over the world these wonderful centers. Not because they were very talented, although they had talent. There were many charismatic leaders in the early days, as they are now. But because they simply were doing what Srila Prabhupada asked them to do. And they weren't thinking about why they can't do it, but Prabhupada asked me, so let me go and do it. Let me keep chanting, keep reading, and do what he asked me to do. And they did it. And thus our centers were established all over the world. So the same thing is there for us now, the same thing, identical. If we are asked to do something, if we have some project, or as time goes on, if we have some project that we want to do, we think not that it's up to me and my little talents to do things, but it's up to the Lord. Does the Lord want me to do this? Let me go forward, let me ask the Lord's help, and then somehow or other I'll get it done. Because it's the Lord that's giving me the potency, not us. It's not that we can go around, Prabhupada said about the book distribution. Even if you can't tell them very nicely what's in the books, just tell them, give them the book, get the book out there. And I'll leave it to me, Prabhupada said, and I'll tell them what to do. In my books, I'll tell them what to do. So we keep that in mind. There's so many of us. Another thing, important point I'd like to talk about is that there are so many devotees who, and this comes up in class sometimes, this question comes up in class, who are very good at doing things. And we have to be careful. There's so many stars in the field, so many bright lights. We see so many of our God brothers and sisters have talents, and we want to look and follow them. Well, that's a mistake. We appreciate their talents. We applaud them. They're doing very nicely in supporting in following the instructions of the spiritual master. But we look to the spiritual master. We look to the spiritual master, and we follow his leadership and his instruction. So many stars are in the sky. We're not looking at the stars, beautiful though they may be, but we're looking at the one moon and we're following that one moon. And in that way, the changes that seem to be coming from here and there, even in our society, the changes, we can push them aside and we see that there is one path, one moon, and we follow that instruction and not the instructions of all the different stars and all their paths that are going here and there out. So the answer is, of course, to one moon. So many stars, but one moon. Don't hang back. Don't hang back and think, well, if I just hang on, if I just stick around, I'll be okay. No, you have to go forward. You have to move. There's no little niche that one can sit into and say, oh, okay, I'm in this niche. I'll get carried along. It doesn't work like that. You won't last in that niche. And this is a very important thing, and those of us who have been around a little bit, it comes from experience, can see if we have so many wonderful godbrothers who come, who have so many talents and are loving and have nice devotional attitude. We see that all the time, and we appreciate that. But if they don't come and become solid in the program, they won't last. We see it. Those of us who have been around a little bit, we see it. And it's lamentable because we see and we try, we pray, we ask again and again, please come, please become part of the program, chant good rounds, come to RT in the morning, become solid in the program, and then you will become strong, and Kṛṣṇa will empower you, and you can do wonderful things. But even though you're wonderful now, you have all this wonderful talent, and we love you very much, if you're not going to come and become solid in the program, then the chances of you lasting are small to none. Small to none. Please come, become solid in the program. So let me again read the verse, and then I'll ask for questions, comments, make comments. The king thus began criticizing himself. Alas, how condemned I have become because of my sense gratification. I have now fallen into material enjoyment, which is exactly like a covered well. I have had enough. I am not going to enjoy any more. Just see how I have become like a dancing monkey in the hands of my wife. Because of this, I am condemned. So, are there questions and comments? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam.